Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US. And I'm here to bring you my live paper crafting class that I do every Wednesday. It is 11 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024, as I'm coming to you live. And yay, it's working! It's so good that this is working on YouTube. The last two videos did not go live on YouTube. Not sure why, but we're just gonna roll with it today. Yay. A big hello if this is your first time joining in on my lives. I teach paper crafting each week, and sometimes we have elaborate projects, sometimes we have simple ones, sometimes we use a die cutting machine, sometimes we use very few products. Today is a very few products and simple technique, but the cards, even though they're easy, they're stunning. And so basically I'm doing one of those divide to multiply kinds of videos again. So I hope that you're all ready to enjoy the different layouts that I do for these different cards. I have 36 cards to share. I won't demonstrate all of them. I'm going to demonstrate a few at the beginning, and then I'll walk you through the rest of them. So let's say hello to our moderators. We have Trisha Josephs on YouTube, and we have Lisa Marshall on Facebook. And they are here to answer questions. So if you are confused about something that I said, or you have questions regarding the products or whatever, let them know, and they'll try to answer for you as we go. So do we have our Facebook viewers with us too? I'm seeing, oh good, I see some Facebook comments. Good, 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 good. I'm glad that we have both working today. Hey Rebecca, good to see your name pop up. All right, so what am I sharing? I am taking the gold dipped cards and envelopes. They are a new product that debuted in the September through December 2024 mini catalog on September 4th. So the gold dipped cards and envelopes, along with the ephemera packs that are called Joyful Sayings and Joyful Images. All of them were shown on the same pages of the catalog. If you have that with you, this is the catalog right here. If you have that with you, you would find them at the beginning of the catalog. And I'll just find them for you here. Okay, let's just look at them. So you will see them on pages 14, 15, and then there's some samples on 16 and 17 also. They're the mix and match products. And these are the envelopes. These are tags, which we're not using today, the images and the sayings. Now the images and the sayings and the tags all come with double the amounts of stuff. So if you see this drum, you're going to see two of them. You know what I mean? Like you get twice as many. I used half of a pack of each of these and one full pack of this to get 36 cards. This is 9 cards in envelopes, but the envelopes are just as pretty as the cards, and the card fronts and the card backs are gorgeous. So I divided things out. I cut them into pieces, and then I put them onto basic white cardstock. By the way, if you don't have this publication, it's okay, because you can find all of this stuff in the online store as well. I have links to the products in the description of my YouTube video, and when I'm done with the video, I will transfer that information over to the to the Facebook video. So you're gonna take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 3 is 18. You're gonna take 18 sheets of basic white cardstock, and then you're going to, of course, add in 36 envelopes, and then you'll be able to create all of these cards. It's crazy. We're not using stamping, which is crazy because my website is called stampyourartout.com, but sometimes we do paper crafting without ink. And that's what we're doing today. So again, if you're a beginning crafter, hop on board. You're going to enjoy this. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to prepare all of our white cardstock, and I'm going to show you a measurement supply sheet in just a second, but I'm going to walk you through this since I have you on the view of my desktop right now. So this is 8.5, this is 11. You're going to take that 8.5 amount and you're going to divide it in half, and that's 4.25. So we're going to bring this left edge to the 4.25 inch mark, making sure that the top edge of our cardstock is flush with the top of our trimmer. It's nice and pressed up against there, so everything's squared off. Then we're going to take the light blade of our trimmer and we're going to press, and that creates a score line in our cardstock. so that when we turn it this way, and now we divide the cardstock in half this way, half of 11 is 5.5. We're going to bring this to the 5.5 inch mark. Then we're going to use the dark blade, and the dark blade is going to cut it. So now we have 2 card bases that have score lines halfway between, and we can fold them in half when we're ready to go. So we're going to do that to all 18 sheets to get 36. I'm not going to do all 36 today, but I have prepared 5 other sheets, and we're going to take those, and I've already scored them, so I'm just going to take a couple at a time, and I'm going to cut them in half to get, what is 6 times 2? 12? To get 12 card bases, okay? Let's see if we can do all 3 at once. That might be pushing it, Rachel. This is a thinner blade than like a rotary trimmer. Oh, it worked. It worked. Okay, good. Yay, we have our card bases. Not all of them are folded yet, but I'm going to introduce an awesome tool that you'll want to fold them all with. Okay, we're going to set the trimmer aside for just a second. Let's go to my desktop now, okay? I'm going to show you, oops. I'm going to show you the PDF that you can print off. This is something that's accessible on my website at stampyourartout.com at 12:15 p.m. Central Time, which is slightly over an hour from now. You'll be able to click on the link that is in the description of the video, this blog post, and then there's the link there. That will be active at 12:15 p.m. Not right now, but soon. And then when you click on it, you'll be able to see the little, there's an icon that says click for a PDF or something like that. And you'll click on that and you'll be able to access this sheet. You can print it off. It has images, it has the date, it has the title, it has the supplies, and it has the measurements. So all of those, all at your fingertips on one sheet. You can take and print them off, or you can store them on your computer. A lot of people like to file them away. I'm curious now, how many of you print them off? And how many of you keep them in a file on your computer? I'd love to know. That would be a great thing to find out. That's why I offer them, so I hope you're using them. But anyways, you can see the supplies. There's very few. The gold dipped cards and envelopes, the ephemera packs, the basic white cardstock and envelopes, and then you have some embellishments. So I did bring in some embellishments. I'm bringing in some metallic-y kinds of embellishments, and let's see if I can find them here. So these are the packs. They are snowflakes, and then they're these metallic gems. So we'll be adding that, but it's optional. It's always fun to add a little bling to your stuff. And then the rest is all tools. So honestly, not a lot. We have the trimmer, the snips, the bone folder, take your pick. And we have adhesives like seal, dimensionals, mini glue dots. You don't need all of them, but I like to share all of them so that you can see what kinds of options you have. We're also going to be using a sponge and a silicone craft sheet so that we can sponge on ink onto some of our fine line type of words. And then we have grid paper, which is basically scrap paper, and my precision tip bottle. The precision tip bottle and sponge are not linkable. These 2 items here, you won't see a little finger when I hover over it. The rest of these items are, but these 2 here are can be found on my website under shop and then my favorite extras. So you can find links to those products on Amazon. Back to the desktop. Okay, now that we have 12 card bases, we're going to bring in our pack. This is our pack of cards and envelopes. I have opened it up and I've already pre-cut 2 of the blues, but you get 3 of each color. So you get 3 blues, 3 greens, 3 reds, 3 blue, green, and red. And this is what the beautiful papers look like. So you can see you have your envelopes and they're printed. They're just gorgeous. I mean, you don't want to just send that in the mail and have this get all scuffed up with dirt, right? I don't know. I have a hard time mailing really, really pretty envelopes like that. I want to cut them up and use them as the paper instead. Then we have this. This is the card base, and you can see the card bases measure 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 when they're folded in half. So you get a Memories and More size card. These are great for if you're going to layer on the 6x4 Memories and More pieces. That's the measurements. They're a little bit different than our typical measurements that we use here in the US for our cards. So here's an envelope. Here's the difference between the two envelopes, as you can see. So slightly wider, but they're just as tall. So we don't have to worry about cutting in this direction, but we're definitely going to trim off a little bit here when we cut. So I'm going to set these two aside, but let's take a look at the other ones. So the green, the color is not on the side here. The color is on the tops and bottoms, or however you want to look at it, right? So they've shifted where the gold dipped foiled area is and where the color is. The envelopes are very similar. And then for the red, we go back to the same look that we had for the blue. Okay? All right, so you're going to see different, that foiling and that coloring is going to look different on all the cards because of how the cards are already pre-designed. Let's take and cut our card base and our envelope. I do have on my website, when it's active at 12:15, I do have images of what the card base looks like together, like this, and then what it looks like when it's cut. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to trim this down. We're going to trim it to 5.5 inches because we want this to layer onto our basic white card base. So we're going to trim off, sorry, let me shift this a little bit. We're going to trim off 3/4 of an inch on this side. This here, don't throw away even though it's just a white strip because we can use that as an accent piece. I don't have measurements for all of these strips because they're all different depending on the style of the card, but just hang on to them, okay? All right, then we take and we just cut this in half. So now we have a 4.25 by 5.5 piece, and we actually have 2 of them. All right, yay. Okay, the envelope's more difficult. Hi, Edie. Hey, Laura. Thanks for chiming in and saying hello. All right, so for the envelope, we're going to trim off the sides here because we want to open this up. So we're going to trim off these 2 sides, and I like doing that by just bringing the edge to cover up on the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. I'll zoom in here so you can see better. There's a channel. There's like a little dip in here where your blade goes down into the trimmer. And on the 2 sides are a dark edge. You're going to cover up that whole area so that the dark disappears. And that allows you to cut off a 1/16 of an inch from the side of your envelope. Now you want to have a sharp blade when you're doing this because if you have a dull blade, especially when you're cutting on a score line, directly on a score line, you're going to have all this jagged paper come off. Okay, let's flip it over and do the other side. Notice I just went like this instead of going like this because I need that flat edge at the top to help align it. Now I could bring it down to the bottom of my trimmer. I do have a flat edge down here too, but I'm somebody who likes to use the top edge the most. So everybody's got a different style. Okay, so now that we've removed that small amount, and that one got stuck in there because it's so skinny, now we can take and open this up like that. Here's where that score line is that I was telling you about, and if you don't have a sharp blade, you're going to experience a little bit of fluffiness on the edges. So we're going to cut here at the gold and the white separation. If you want to, you can come in a little bit so that you have a little bit of gold on this piece because we're going to use this piece on one of our cards. And on some of my cards, I don't have the gold at all on the designer paper portion. Now it might be in the embellishment portion, but it's not in the designer paper portion. We're calling this designer paper now. So you could do that. I'm going to just go ahead and replicate the cards that I've already photographed and shared on my blog that you'll see soon. And thanks, Lindsay. Hey, Jane from Wisconsin. Woohoo! All right, so I'm going to slice, and I know I have a sharp blade because it didn't feel rough at all. I've run out of my blades though, so I had to purchase more this morning. But here you go. There is my white piece, which is an odd shape right now, so we're going to deal with that in a second. And then we're going to flip this around and we're going to cut. Even if you cut in a little bit here, you still want to bring this edge to 4¼ inches. We're going to cut it 4¼ inches. And that leaves us with this piece here. It has a nice little white accenting on it. We want to flatten out this edge. We want to cut off the extras on the sides. So speaking of cutting off extras on the sides, let's do that with this piece here. We're going to take and turn it into our trimmer at 5½ inches. And you can trim off in either direction. I'm doing it this way because I think that's the way my samples are. And that should bring this piece to 7/8 of an inch on this side of your trimmer. So you're cutting to 5½, and you will get a 4¼ by 5½. Again, it's the same size as these layers that we already cut. And then you have this strip, which you also want to keep because look at, I mean, that's pretty, right? So this is 7/8 by 4¼ And then the last two pieces that we will cut are these here. Let's deal with this one first. So if you look at, and both of these are the same actually, if you look at the length of these, they measure, and we'll just pull out the arm of our trimmer so we can really get a good accurate measurement here. Both of these pieces measure 6 3/8 inches. Now another way that you can kind of picture this is if you look at 5½ inches, which is how wide we want this to be, and you look to either side of this channel or the 5½, and you try to center it, you can see what's happening here is I'm going to cut just before the 1/2 inch mark on this side, and that will give me about a 1/2 inch on this side too. So if I go right to that spot, that's pretty equal as far as how much to cut off. So again, here's that 1/2 inch mark, go just a little bit before, and that's a 1/16 of an inch. And we're going to trim that, flip it over, bring it to the 5½ inch mark, and trim that. And we have two equal pieces that are cut off. You don't necessarily have to have equal pieces, but it will allow you to get the widest piece possible on this by trimming at 1 7/8. Okay, if we cut off unevenly, if we cut off wider on this side and shorter on this side, we might have to bring this in a little further. So I just wanted to get the most of my blue pretty paper. So that's a layer. And then this one here, we want to do the same thing. So we're going to bring it to just under that 1/2 inch mark. And that will remove these things. Bring it to now 5½. And now we have this piece. And this curved edge isn't going to matter because we're going to cover it up. So I'm just going to leave that curved edge on there. Now let's bring in all of our pieces. Okay, these are all envelope. This is, oh, I got to zoom out. This is card. And then this is the strip. Here, I'm going to flip it this way so you can see it better. And this is the strip from the card. So envelope, cards. Here's the measurements if you want to see them. I'm just going to lay these down like that. Go underneath here. I'm going to line these up too to make sure I've got the matching ones. Because that way we will create the way that, there we go. You can see all the measurements. And again, those measurements are in the PDF, so you'll be able to check them out. So I've got 3 of everything here. Sorry, just making sure we got everything in here. And screenshot if you wish. Okay, all of these little pieces, they're scrap. I mean, some people might be able to figure out what to do with them, but I'm not going to. I'm throwing them in my recycling. Okay, I'm going to set these over here now. And we're going to deal with the card, the harder, stiffer pieces first, and recreate some cards. So I'm going to bring in some basic white card bases that are already ready to go. I just have to fold them and crease them. This one's going to be a vertical card. Let's take and bring in our ephemera now. So, oh gosh, you got to check this out, you guys. There's a lot of pretty stuff in here. So here, and some of them will look upside down depending, but here are all the pretty images from this ephemera pack. And we're just gonna grab as I go. So I'm gonna set them off to the side so that I can grab from them. And doing a makeshift table over here. That way I have an extra space. So you check those out. They just punch real easily from the pack. And I like to store them in the stamp set cases. They don't come like this. They come in just a shrink wrapped with some chipboard underneath. But I like to store them in this, and then I just take the packaging, trim out the information, and slip that right underneath my my sleeve of my stamp set case. The stamp set cases are available also. I don't have them listed, but they're available also in the online store. Okay, the next one is, this one is the Joyful Sayings. So you can see there's small ones. Look at that. That's all gold and real intricate wording and stuff. And then there's, then there's that one too. So got a good glance at those. I'm going to shift those over here also. Now I have a nice wide table over here. I should use this little board more often. It's crazy. Okay, lots of table space for Rachel today. Yay! Okay, I am going to start with this one. And I also need the one that says, Wish You Were Here. I'll be using a little strip from my extra piece of card, and then I'll also be using the card base that looks like this, and this is from the actual card. So to make this card, I'm basically just taking and adding adhesive, and you can just put a little in each corner, or you can slather the whole thing, whatever helps you out. But when you look at your card base, you sometimes have a slight overlap. And I can see that on this one. There's a slight difference between the two edges. If I can see both edges, that's my back side of my card. Now I'll grab this and I'll add that to the front. And I'm just lining up the corners like that. Okay? This piece is going to go up onto dimensionals. Dimensionals are a fun, like a foam kind of sticky piece, and we're just going to take and put a few of those on the back side. And I'm just looking at my other card here, making sure that I'm doing this correctly. And then I'm going to go about an inch from the top of the card. And if you need to, you can use your grid paper, and you can count down 4 squares. I think I actually have it about 3 squares down. And then you center it and make sure that your house, your horizon on your image, is nice and straight. It's evenly set between the two sides. This piece comes in and is just a little extension, as if this is becoming an ornament. So I'm going to take and put another dimensional right here on top. I'm going to slip this underneath, and I can use my grid paper as kind of a centering point. I just take and make sure that it's in the center. Slip this underneath. Press it down, and then I can take and flip my card over and trim it. And now I have what looks like a hanging ornament from my the top of my house, the top of my whatever, the top of the ceiling of the card. Okay? All right, then this piece just gets added with even more dimensionals, and that is the card. Dimensionals are great. It adds a shadow, a small shadow underneath your layers, and it allows you to have it look like there's even more to the card. A lot of times sometimes we add like extra layers behind things to give things dimension, but with a dimensional, that shadow gives a dark edge, and it just gives that illusion that there's even more to it. Simple and pretty, right? And you can put a photo inside. You could take and stamp some sentiments in there with a Christmas sentiment stamp set, whatever you'd like to do. All right, the next card. The next one is a little more elaborate. This one requires, oops, I'm going to take this base here. Okay, so it's the same base that we just used before. This one requires me to use some gluing. So again, there's a slight overlap. That's going to go to my back. I'm going to flip this over, put adhesive in each corner. And again, if you want to do more, you certainly can. If you want to use multi-purpose liquid glue, you're a glue person instead, you certainly can. So now I have my layer on top, and now I'm going to bring in my multi-purpose liquid glue and my silicone sheet. I'm going to squirt a little bit out onto here. Then I'm going to take my sponge. I have a little sponge that I got from Amazon, and I'm just going to pounce that in there to get the glue evenly distributed onto the surface of my sponge. I cut my sponges into sixths so that I can use them multiple times before they get too tacky and I have to throw them away. All right, so for this one, we need one of these guys, you guys, actually two of them. So we're going to grab our holidays. And the nice thing about them, all these ephemera packs, is they do come out very nicely. They're easy to separate from the sheets because they're only connected in a few spots, and they're very, very tiny connections. So I know that in the past, a long time ago, Stampin' Up, when they would make these types of products, the connections were so big that you'd actually have to take like a sanding block to eliminate. But you barely see those tiny connections. So we're going to start with the happy. And we're going to sponge that one because that one's going to go on top and we want it closer to the top of the card. I'm going to bring it to a section of my silicone mat where I know I will not be placing anything again. And I'm going to hold it down firmly. I'm going to sponge the bottom edge, then come along the sides. You don't have to get the whole thing, but you just want to get enough of it so that you've covered a good portion of that piece. And then you come over here and with your non-sticky fingers and with your eyes, you're going to just eyeball where it's going to sit so that it's nice and straight. Lay it down. You have to lay the middle down first, and then you have to kind of pry the other pieces apart. Because look at that. They sometimes will warp on you. So once you get the middle down, then you can kind of guide the rest of it to lay flat. There we go. Then we'll do the same thing with our holidays, and you might have to rub your fingers off a little bit to get the stickiness. I need a little bit more glue because that sponge soaked up a lot of it. Okay, next thing, let's try the holidays. Happy holidays. Now I can scoot this up on my silicone mat, but I want to avoid this area because that was the area that had the glue before, and we don't want to get any glue on the front side of a foil sheet because it's definitely too hard to get off, okay? The sponge with the glue has been an awesome tip. Oh, I'm so glad. Yay. Okay, I'm going to hold this off to this side a little bit so that my fingers aren't spread across the whole thing, and then I'm going to shift and just hold again. Oh, it moved just a little bit. Be careful, Rachel. And then we'll get the end. Okay, then you can take a tweezers if you don't have fingernails just to kind of pry that up. But yay, oh good, it did not get glue all over the front of this. So again, you want to be really careful with it. Lay it down. Let's see, how did we do that one? I think it was right in, well, my two cards are going to be slightly different. That's okay. That's okay. Happy holidays. They're not exactly alike, but they look pretty darn close. So that's how I do my really, really fine die cut pieces, or like, you know, the ephemera or whatever. I love to use the glue option because I find that when I, like if I'm die cutting and I use the adhesive sheets, I waste paper and I don't want to do that. So this just gives me the option to put that adhesive on full coverage without too much of a mess. And I really don't like messes, so it's a pretty clean way to do it. I mean, you get a little stickies on you, but that's about it. The next piece that we're going to grab from our ephemera, this is the joyful image that we're going to use. Now, on my cards, I used up almost every single image and almost every single word. So waste not. If you take and you buy 2 of these gold dip packs of cards and envelopes, and then 1 pack each of the images and the sayings, you can create 72 cards for Christmas, for the holidays. and it's very affordable. Okay, so there's my second card. The next one is, so gosh darn pretty. So we're going to use one more of that same style. We're going to get another base in here, fold it in half, use our bone folder to give it a good crease, check, put adhesive on the back side. We're getting faster, you guys. Okay, line it up in the corners, corner, corner. There may be times when you have an extra edge of white underneath, or let's say like here, you can see that. If that really bugs you, you can come in with your trimmer or your snips and cut it off. I find that it doesn't bother me, but sometimes there's enough where you want to just trim that away, and you can feel free to do that. So for this one, we're going to use this piece, and we got a couple sprigs. Here they are on two separate sheets. This one here and this one here. We're going to put this up onto dimensionals. So those first two cards did not have any embellishments, but this one I'm adding some embellishments. So I'm going to show you a tool that is perfect for that. This is going to come down about 1.5 inches, looking at the straight words and looking at the two sides to make sure it looks pretty centered. We are going to put some fluff off to the right here, so I don't want to have it too much centered as far as these words go. And then I'm going to take, and at least I don't think I do. No, I did have them centered. Good thing it doesn't bond right away. I think I had the ephemera up a little higher. Okay, so these words here are centered between your two edges. These pieces are opposite of each other the way that they turn. And so when I put these on with just straight adhesive, whether it's your multi-purpose liquid glue straight on, so you can do that if you want to, if that's your adhesive of choice, or you can use the seal. But I like to lift these two up at the same time, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them in there so that they kind of overlap each other. And with glue, you have that wiggle room, don't you? And then you can shift them into place. And that looks about right to me. For this one, I did embellish with the metallic gems, the adhesive back metallic gems. This is what a full pack looks like. I had to replace it because I knew I was going to run out after today's demo. So we're going to grab a gold. I think they're gold. Yep, on this one they're gold. So we'll add a gold one here, and then a small gold one up here. And that is another finished card. All right, we're getting to that point where I might have to explain a lot of them. We're going to go on to the next card, though. This one is one of my favorites. In fact, you know what? I'll just explain that one, okay? So this one, same thing, except for this one, I added the skates in the middle, and then I just made this go right over the top of the skates. So this is a piece from the images, and this is a piece from the sayings, and they're all up on dimensionals. They all have gold foiling, or they both have gold foiling in them, and that is it. So for that card, I took the 3 remaining cardstock card pieces and turned it the opposite direction to get the gold up on top. Opens this way. Okay. The next card, here, I'll demonstrate that one because that one's a little bit different. So we're going to take our card base, fold it in half, score, flip, adhesive, check the edging, attach corner to corner, and then we've got a strip. This strip here, we'll bring that back in. This strip has, sorry, just looking at my other one. This strip has a score line in the middle. So we're going to kind of separate at that score line because we don't want that going through our card. Although if we forget, it's not going to be a big deal on this one, but we want to have this going across the bottom of our page. So you can either cut before or cut after you add. I'm just going to cut before. So we'll go to the 4 1/4 inch mark and we'll slice there. And then we'll put this up on our dimensionals. We'll adhere it with dimensionals. And we're going to adhere it on the two sides. And then we're going to adhere it in the middle. The fewer the dimensionals, the flatter your card can be when you mail it, if you're going to mail your cards. So now we have them in those three places. I'm going to add this down here about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And again, your grid paper comes in handy. That's about 3 squares up from the bottom, okay? So as long as it's even, that's what matters. Okay, we have that on there. And now we're going to take our winter wishes, and that came from this sheet. Here it is. It's so light. It's so lightly written, you guys. Winter wishes. There's a few in here that are very, very faint, like this thanks. So I kind of combined the thanks, the joy, and the wonder on a card because this thanks was so faint that it was hard to read. Winter wishes. We're going to put that up on a dimensional with only one dimensional in the middle of it. And this is going to set between these two dimensionals. So that dimensional will sit right here, and when that card goes through the mail, it will feel like it's only one dimensional thick. So we're just centering that right there. And you can kind of see how that dimensional does not get in the way of the other two. Next, our snowman. Our snowman. This is the snowman card, you guys. He's so cute. And I am dimensional happy on these cards, that's for sure. I love the use of dimensionals. We will put 3 on him just to support him. Again, it's still one dimensional thick as long as we're sticking in a space where there's not going to be another dimensional on top or underneath, right? So we're going to set that guy right there as if he's sitting in the snow. And the last thing to do is add in some of the snowflakes. So this is a different embellishment. This is the, and I'm just going to trim this open for you so you can see. These are the adhesive back snowflake assortment. I like to open my embellishments now on the side. That way I can just slip them in and out and they stay protected. So in this pack, you actually get 2 sheets. You get a pack of the bigger ones and a pack of the smaller ones. You can see there's white, gold, and copper. White, gold, and copper. Oh, there's medium-sized ones too. So instead of using this one, I'm going to bring in my other one that is almost gone. Where did he go? Oh, it's right here. All right, so we're going to open that one up. And we're going to put a couple gold ones on there from the smaller sheet. So this is another tool. I think I demonstrated this already, but it has a gummy end. And you're just going to press on top and scoot it, and it will pick it up. This one's going to get tucked underneath here. And then the smaller one, push and pull, is going to get tucked under here. So there is that finished card. Thanks, Angie. Isn't he cute? I know, I agree with you, Tracy. Super cute. Okay, the next one, I'm just going to show you. So let's put these aside. For the next card, this is the one, and I used, for that, this sentiment here, okay? And I used, you get these little ribbon pieces. So here's a ribbon piece, here's a ribbon piece, okay? So you get those, you get little bows, and I matched that one up with the blue bow. And I just took and put everything up on dimensionals. So this is on dimensionals, this little strip is on dimensionals that slips underneath, and then the bow is connected to the end. Now, if you want to, and this is what I would recommend, connect the bow to that strip before you put your card together. Like connect those and then kind of lay it out. That way you'll know where to add this, and then you can just tuck that underneath and stick it down. So that is that one. And then we have, oh good, now we're getting into the envelope ones. Checking my time again. All right, so the envelope ones. For this one we have 3 beautiful little strips, right? We have those 7/8 by 4 1/4 inch strips. So I'm going to take and add this. I'm going to add it so that the gold side is up because I want my gold drums. I'm going to add drums to this. I want my gold drums to be down in the corner, and there's so much gold on the drums that I don't think that putting them onto this area, I mean, that would be very down, you know, bottom heavy with the gold. So I wanted to kind of do it opposite. So I put that there. I put this piece up on dimensionals here so that you can see that shadow, and it has like an accent edge on that side. This has a snowflake on it. And then I also added, for those of you reading lips, I'm sorry, I'm talking away from the screen. Sorry about that. I also added Better Together. It's not the exact same blue, but this blue and this blue here together don't seem too bad. And so Better Together, because they're drums. Right? And this card looks like this in the end. None of these cards have anything on the inside, by the way. Oh, thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, if you want to give me the thumbs up, that would be great. So yeah, that's the way that card looks. And none of them have anything written on the inside. Okay, the next card. The next card is using that same base. So I'll just bring these back over here. Okay, it's the same base. And it's the same idea of having a snowflake on there. On both of those, I used the largest of the two gold snowflakes. And on this one, I have the presents, and those are flat. Oh my gosh, Rachel added something flat. I stuck that one down all the way. So the presents go here, and then the just for you almost in the middle, just to kind of balance out. So 1, 2, 3 images here, okay? Same connection, dimensionals here. And then the last one is also positioned that same way, only I shifted my third strip of these 3 strips. I shifted it over, so it's about 1 inch and maybe 1.25 inches. Again, I just eyeballed it. I just shifted it over so that this label piece could sit up on dimensionals on top of it and have enough room on each side. You may want to add that first. That one comes from this sheet. So if you add that first to this piece so that it looks centered, then you can put your dimensionals on all 4 spots and in the middle, and then you'll be able to sit that down where it looks right to you. And then there's a little letter with a string or a twine around it, and I added a star. These 2 are from the ephemera, and then I added a couple gold metallic gems on there. Okay, so we got done with all of those pieces from the envelope, but we still have these pieces, right? These are the only pieces we haven't used yet from the envelope. So our 5.5 inch wide piece and our 5.5 inch wide by 1 7/8 inch tall. So for those, I have 3 more cards. So you're making 3 from each main piece. These 2 together make a main piece, and we're actually going to layer them like that so that the blue strip goes in the middle. We have a little white edging here, and we've covered up that rounded edge that was on that envelope section here, okay? So for this one, I brought back in, I still have more strips left, right? So I brought back in another strip. I added the North Pole directly on top with no dimensionals and added the sleigh on dimensionals right above the North Pole. And I just kind of centered that through the middle. I mean, it's not perfectly centered, but you see what I mean. So again, you're going to lay down, where did it go now? Yeah, it's gone. Oh, here it is. You're going to lay down this piece first onto your card. Then you're going to stick that one on top. And it's all going to fit onto your card base, okay? The card bases that we have over here. Okay, the second of those 3 looks like this. So I took that May Your Days Be Bright and Merry. It's just such a big sentiment piece that it's all it needs really is just that. But I did, before I even thought of using the embellishments, I did add in these stars. So you have some pieces in your ephemera packs that can be used as embellishments, like the star that was on this letter card too, right? So there's little pieces in there that can be used as embellishments if you don't have any extra embellishments. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Okay, next card and the last one of the blues. This is probably my favorite. I don't know why. I just love that line of trees. My parents have a lake place in the forest. These kind of trees are everywhere. Just so pretty. So I took and I shifted the line of trees, because this is all one piece. I shifted it slightly below the blue so that it looked as if it was sitting in the snow, right? And this is the sky on the horizon. Gorgeous. And then I just added this on dimensionals. The trees are up on dimensionals, although you could put them flat if you really want to. And then I used the silver metallic gems. So you get the copper, gold, and silver in each pack. Well, copper, gold, and white in the snowflakes. But anyways, you can use them in different ways. This didn't have any gold on it, so I figured why not add silver on that one? So that is the third of those style. And we've got all our blues here. Let's go through and look at the greens and the reds. We got time, right? Okay, greens and reds. So here is the first of the green. This is a card. I'm starting with the card bases again. So this is a card base half, a strip from the card base half, because when you cut that one, you actually get a little bit of green gold flecking or gold dipped on the edge here, if you recall the way it's positioned. Here's that red strip I was talking about in the ephemera pack, Dear Santa from the ephemera, sentiments or the sayings. The bear is sitting up on a dimensional 2, but think about it. I put dimensionals here and here only so that the bear would only press that flat and you could mail it without having any extra bulk there. This is up on dimensionals, but the red is flat. Gold and gold, big and small. Next one. Another one where I was smart with my dimensionals. I didn't put any through the middle because I wanted the ho, ho, ho to stick up and off. This is a banner from the ephemera. This is a sentiment from the sayings. Here is a sock, a little stocking. All of these pieces, every single image either comes from the sayings or the images, okay? And again, the little strip that gets cut off. I may have taken this from my blue pack, just so you know, okay? I probably took that from a blue pack. That's why I didn't give measurements on that, because these were just decorative extra pieces that we could use on all the cards. Here's one of my favorites, so sweet and simple. I didn't even embellish it, and I could have. Like I was tempted to put a little gold piece in there in the center of the snowflake. Just super cute. Some cocoa, 'tis the season, everything's up on dimensionals. More of the card bases. Okay, these are all from the same half of the card. And then we have the other half of the card. These all have that same style here. Some of them have the strips on them. Some of them do not. So those strips are just excess of what to design with. Peace on Earth, a couple pine cones, the holly and berries, and a little stuck down tiny snowflake. This one here